Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time of day you find yourself watching this video. If you are here today, that means you are wanting a little more information about the seven chakras, right? You want to know what they are, how they work, and how they influence our lives. So first, I like to talk a little bit about myself, right? See, that's me. I am the founder of Serene Journey Births, right? That is my doula services. I am definitely a holistic doula. As you see, we are talking about the chakras, right? I love the metaphysics. I am a traveling birth doula, so I mainly work in the DMV area, which is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. But I have had clients in Florida because I'm from South Florida, Philly, the Carolinas. So I definitely travel. And I am a women's wellness educator, right? In addition to like literally being a teacher. And of course, I'm social. So get your phone, go on Instagram. You can, find me at Serene Journey Births on both Instagram and Facebook. And if you want more videos like this, definitely hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you can get notifications when I make more videos, right? So of course, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So the chakras, right? I always like to go back to the beginning, right? And of course, the chakras belong to a Hindu system originating in India between 1500 and 500 BC. So I know calendars may not be your thing. It definitely was not mine in history, but just know that those numbers represent that it is like one of the oldest systems. Like, I really don't like to use the term religion, but spiritual beliefs is like one of the oldest spiritual belief systems to date. And in the Hindu culture, their language is called Sanskrit. So the word chakra is Sanskrit meaning wheel or circle. And we will talk about why it's called a wheel or circle in a future slide. And there are estimately, right, it depends on what source you are looking at. There are tons and tons and tons of books and resources on the chakras. So the numbers may fluctuate, but there are estimately 114 chakras all throughout our bodies. But we actually focus on 7 main or primary chakras, right? So the images that you will always most likely see will focus on the 7 chakras. So it is very important to understand energy before we go any further and start talking about each chakra, right? So what is energy? Do you have any idea? Try to go back to your science class, right? Elementary, middle school, high school. You do it every year, right? So in physics, right, energy is the capacity for doing work. It may exist in potential, right? We hear that all the time. You have the potential to be great. It can exist in kinetic, thermal, electrical, chemical, nuclear, right? There are different types of energy. But all forms of energy are associated with motion, right? So energy moves, right? It's just a measurement of movement, right? And this little definition was taken from the encyclopedia, right? But just remember that energy has to deal with motion. We are still talking about science here, right? So if you look at this image to the left, it says atoms. So every thing in our body, right? Atoms are the smallest unit of element, right? And below it, you can see an element. We think of the periodic table, but atoms are within our bodies. Every single thing that exists on the planet Earth is made up of atoms, and atoms are the smallest unit. Atoms are actually constantly in motion, right? If you can remember protons, neutrons, and electrons, those things are continuously the electrons actually are continuously moving around the atom. The protons and the neutrons are in the nucleus inside the middle, right? So these things are constantly moving. And once again, we just said motion equals energy. So our cells are constantly giving off energy. And then just taking it one step further, molecules, right, are when two or more atoms are joined together chemically, right? So if we're thinking about water, right, that's H2O, that's our body is 70% water. And then I have this nice little picture at the bottom corner. It says atom, right? The atoms are the smallest unit. Then you have a molecule. Then the molecule makes up a cell. And then the cells make up the organism, which is us humans and all other animals. And just to note that energy and vibrations are the same thing. We hear people talk, the vibrations when we're looking at spiritual stuff. So energy and vibrations can mean the same thing. Just a preference on what you would like to say. So now let's dive into our 7 main chakras. So let's just take a moment to look at this image that I have below me. As you can see, it is what we assume to be a male figure. And if we look at the very bottom, the chakras actually start at the bottom. That is called the base, right? And that's your root chakra. And the chakras, how we will talk about it, we are moving up from the bottom to the top, right? So you have your root chakra, and then you have the Sanskrit name, right? Muladhara. I'm not going to say them all because I know I'm going to butcher the name. That's probably not how you say that one. But once again, my native tongue is English, right? I don't know any other language. So we're just going to use the English words, right? So you have your root chakra, your sacral, solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. Now, as I said previously, the cells in our bodies are made up of atoms, and atoms are continuously vibrating. So our physical bodies, right? We are now thinking about our physical bodies and moving to the spiritual side, right? So our physical bodies are continuously radiating energy. And that radiation is what we call our aura. We hear people sometimes say that, like, oh, your aura is so peaceful or serene or calm. And then other times you're like, ooh, something is not right. Like we can sense when people are in alignment and when they are not in alignment, even if we don't have the words to describe it. So not only do our bodies give off energy, but we are also energy receivers, right? So I remember someone was like, oh, I don't really believe in chakras. That is crazy stuff. Or depending on how you grown up religiously. I know in my church that was definitely considered devil worship. It is definitely not devil worship. Our bodies were created to receive energy. So think about our eyes. Our eyes literally takes the light energy and converts it to colors, right? If we had no light, we could not see. You cannot see that my shirt is orange and my background is blue, right? Our ears are picking up sound vibrations. And remember, this is all vibrations, right? Our ears are picking up sound vibrations so that we can hear. Our nose, we are smelling, right? The different levels of vibratory molecules within the atmosphere. Same with our taste buds, right? So not only do we give off energy, but our bodies were literally created to sense energy that is coming to us. So, as it relates to the chakras are energy vortexes that transport energy from the universe, right? So from everywhere, not just this room that I'm in, but literally from the universe, from the cosmos, from wherever the spirit world is, right? We don't know as human beings exactly how it works, and we never will, right? Because we're humans. But the energy is coming from the spirit world, from the universe around you into our auras and into our bodies, right? So keep this picture in the back of your head. So in females, right, the chakras spin counterclockwise, right? And in males, the chakras spin clockwise. Now, once again, we definitely have, we know that male and female is not a black and white thing, right? You have a full spectrum of things in between. So this is just generally speaking, based on their tradition. All right. So chakra connectivity. Now, as you can see, 7, right? I held up 8 fingers. There are 7 chakras. So the upper 3, right? Your crown, your third eye, and your throat are considered to be connected to the divine or God. And then your lower 3, which is your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus, are the chakras that ground us to the earth. Those are like very physical chakras. So that's 3 and 3. We still have 1, which is the middle green chakra. So in that picture, it's the green. And that chakra is literally our heart chakra, right? So the spiritual up top and the physical below are connected, right? In the center, which is our hearts, right? Isn't that like an amazing, beautiful thing? Like we need our hearts to both be grounded in the physical plane and also to be grounded in the spiritual plane, right? Love is the key. So now I am going to break down each chakra. I would like to say these are not images that I made. These are images that I found on Google. Lovely, lovely, lovely articles. I will definitely post a link in the description so that you can read more. Like I really love her articles. And I also love her pictures. So the first chakra that we have is the root chakra. And as you can see, that the image is a tree, and the root chakra is definitely like the roots of a tree or plant, if for us to think of something physical, right? So it is located at the base of the spine. So our perineum, that is the area between your sexual organ, right? Whether you have a penis or vagina, and the anus, right? That little space. And its defining frequency of energy color is red. So when you go on, or if you go on to continue studying chakras, people say, oh, the color is red. It's not necessarily that the color is red, the color that stimulates it, right? The frequency that it vibrates with, right? Everything is all energy. So when you see the color red, it stimulates your root chakra. And something that I would like for you to kind of take note of is as I'm going through the chakra, if any of these colors make you feel anything, right? Take note of it, because that may be a chakra that you need to work on more. All right. So its color is red. And it is directly related to our feelings of physical security, survival instincts, and maintaining balance. So, what does that mean? This is literally the root that anchors us to earth. So, what do we need in this present time and day to survive? We need housing, we need food, we need money, right? If we do not have money, typically the way our society is set up, We do not have housing. We do not have food, and definitely clothing, right? So, very physical, very physical aspects, right? Survival, right? Am I safe? Am I comfortable? Because safety is key to survival, right? You have to feel safe, you have to feel loved, you have to feel comforted in order to continue to procreate. And each chakra has a element, and the root chakra's basic element is the earth, right? When our root chakra is imbalanced or blocked, we lose our sense of balance. We may feel anxious, we may feel fearful, and frustrated with our surroundings. Now, as I said before, the chakra is a spinning wheel. So we want that wheel to spin at a perfectly balanced state. This is something that we continuously have to work on because our everyday lives, which I will talk about in the next slide, things that happen in our everyday lives influences the energy and how it flows. So if the flow, if something is blocking it, right, then all the chakras above it are going to be affected and it influences, they influence one another, right? So we may, now going back to if it's in balance, right? We may lack the understanding that the universe has placed us exactly where we are supposed to be. And every chakra has a physical organ or body part that it relates to. So the root chakra is related to the adrenals, of course, because safety and security, stress, the adrenal glands make adrenal hormones, cortisol, stress hormones, so that we can go to safety if there is something physically attacking us. It's related to the blood, of course, red. Remember, because it's down in our perineum, it's our hips, everything below that, our legs, our feet, our rectum, and our lower spine. So, a really quick story. I used to have a blog that explained it well. I definitely somewhere will put that blog back up. But this is how I got into learning about the chakras, is how I came to heal myself. I used to have this very, very aching pain in what felt like my sacrum, if you know anything about the spine, right? Just lower back, right? Very lower back, tailbone, right? That's the word. It just felt like my tailbone was broken, which it wasn't. I went to the chiropractor, I went to the doctors, I just did so much and nothing would help. So I said, you know what? I just Googled one day spiritual reasons for lower back pain, and I found this article about the chakras. One of the cures were crystals. I went and purchased my first crystal. After using it, it was red jasper to be exact, and the pain just eventually over time went away. During this time, I was actually about to graduate from George Mason University. I had decided that I was not going to medical school and that I wanted to be a midwife. And I also was, my job had cut my hours back. So I was making half of the money that I normally made. And there was just so many changes and I was just overwhelmed. So my body was trying to tell me, like, hey, you are exhausting your root chakra. You don't feel secure financially. You don't feel safe, and you are overexhausting yourself. So, once again, because the chakras need to, they need to be in alignment. When they are out of alignment for a very long time, you're going to feel aches and pains and issues, right? Disease, dis-ease. I should have put that in the slide, right? But if you break down the word disease, you have dis and ease. So your body will physically start to let you know that there's an issue. Now, I am not going to do this for every single chakra. I just wanted to let you know that this is something that happens. If you definitely are interested in knowing more, in the comments, you can tell me more, yes, please, or however you want to word it, that I should make another video that will actually do where I would do this for each chakra. But I'm only going to do this for the root. So, imbalances. So things, what can get our chakra off balance? So like I said, a lack of money or loss of job. So my root, I was making half the money that I was used to making, right? But my bills were not cut in half, right? So you know how that goes. You can also be in an abusive or toxic relationship. And a lot of our chakras are actually, they become out of alignment in childhood, right? It goes that far back. Because one, we're not learning about this. Most of us, many of us aren't learning about chakras. So we aren't really taught how to balance them, unless your mom is a yogi like me. Like I teach my son how to balance them. But unfortunately, for like our generation, many of us are not taught, which is more than likely why you're watching this video, right? Because you want to learn more about it. If you grew up in an abusive or toxic home, right? Mother, father, sister, brother, family member, that shapes the way you feel safe within the world. Also, if you had a long time illness, right, you definitely could not feel safe. Abuse, right, especially physical abuse at an early age or whatever time it may be happening, your root chakra can be out of balance. Abandonment, right, because people make us feel secure. So if someone leaves you, right, and you have abandonment issues, that chakra is going to be affected. And of course, poverty. So like I said, when these very physical things happen and you have an imbalance for too long, you're going to start to feel physical symptoms. So like I said, for me, I had chronic lower back pain that doctors couldn't even figure out what was wrong with me. You can have hemorrhoids or constipation. You can have knee problems. Very funny story. I've been currently experiencing knee problems. And I'm like, why? Like, I can literally be just laying on the couch watching TV and my knee will start throbbing. And right now, Corona is going on. My job has been closed, right? I'm not making money from that job, shall I say. I'm very careful with my words because there are other ways you can make money, right? But there's just so many things that are going on. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm overexhausted my root, right? But knee problems, of course, depression, immune related disorders, and weight problems. So a lot of times we're always just like, oh, I can't lose this 10 pounds. I can't lose this 5 pounds. I've been eating right. I've been working out. And we're really trying to figure out what's going on. We're always just like looking at the physical, but it's really time to turn within and look at how our spiritual lives are affecting our physical lives. All right. So once again, I'm not doing this for all of the chakras, but if you would like to see that video, definitely leave me a comment and let me know. Our next chakra is the sacral. All right. I am in alignment. It is located right above the root and it's below the belly button and the defining frequency of energy, right? Its color is orange, pretty much. And it's a chakra that I definitely need to work on right now. It is directly related to our sense of sexuality and sexual expression, intuition, creativity, and connectivity to others. So what does that mean? How we sexually express ourselves, how we sexually expression. So for example, a lot of women, we have been made, because it's just our society, to feel like ashamed of our sexual selves, right? So we grow up with that religion, right? It tells us how we should express ourselves sexually. And if you don't really believe that, or you feel out of alignment with that, then that's your sacral chakra. But it's also your confidence, right? Are you that confident woman who steps into the room, or man who steps into the room and owns it, right? Or are you that person in the corner who like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm not confident in my speaking abilities and all of that, right? That is your connectivity with others, how you connect to the world. Also, it's your creativity. And uh, within my own studies, this is just outside. A lot of us, because our society is over sexualized or hyper sexualized, however you want to term it, when our sacral chakra is stimulated, we think we need sex, right? We have those very physical feelings of just like sexual arousal. And it's wrong. A lot of the times when we actually feel sexual arousal, we are getting it confused with creativity. Like our bodies are telling us to create something, right? Not a baby, not a human, even though I would love that as a doula, but it's telling you that something that you have been trying to get out into the world, you need to go and create that. So that's something you can think about the next time you feel that way. Like, what should I be creating? Is it my course or my book, right? Or my webinar? Um, so its basic element is water. So remember, you have the roots, right? And just think of a plant. What does the plant need to survive? Water. So it's just amazing um, how the elements build off one another. So your root is earth, your sacral is water, and in any spiritual system, water is related to your emotions, right? And when our sacral chakra is imbalanced, we have difficulty expressing our feelings. We are resentful, right? We feel creative blocks and we are unable to birth our ideas into the world. And we also may have money issues because a lot of times your creativity is going to be the seed of your finances, right? So if you know how to build houses, right? You can make money off of that, right? Or if you know how to decorate rooms, you can make money off of that. Excuse me, talking makes you thirsty, right? And because it governs the water flow in your body, right? Our bodies are at least 70% water. Um, so it's related to energetically how we flow with life, right? And the body parts, right? Your reproductive organs. It's also your adrenal glands, your lower back as well, your large intestines, and your kidneys. So, if you have any physical symptoms relating to that, it can be your sacral chakra. Our next chakra is the solar plexus, and it is located. If you take your three fingers and put them above your belly button and your navel, right, that's where your solar plexus is, and its color is yellow, and it's directly related to our self confidence, self awareness, and our willpower, like our power to live and to be here. And its basic element is fire. So um, like the sun gives everything energy. Think about that. Like without the sun, there is no life. So your solar plexus is definitely like your life force energy. Um, and just reading what I wrote, it says, as is the element that nourishes us and provides us with warmth and energy. When our heart chakra is imbalanced or blocked, we may find ourselves unsure about the decisions we make in life, and consequently, our instincts will be dulled. So, once again, it's our willpower, and it's moving from the physical plane towards the spiritual plane. So, if you are unsure about, like, why are you even here? What is the purpose to life? Um, what is your purpose in life, right? Your solar plexus chakra is going to be exhausted, right? and it's not going to spin. And actually, I forgot to mention that an imbalance can go both ways. It's not just that your chakra can close, it can also be too open, right? So, for example, your solar plexus, if you are overly confident, we typically use the terms like cocky, right? If you are a cocky person, um, and you think that you are just so perfect and above people, your solar plexus is too wide, and that is an imbalance. And you will also see physical symptoms where you need to scale back and bring it right in alignment with the other chakras. So we can definitely have overactive chakras. For example, with the sacral chakra, if we start having too much sex, right, that chakra becomes open and open and open, and that's how people typically develop addictions, right, when they're feeding a chakra too much. If it's imbalanced, we give away our power to others, and we may have issues with self respect and self hatred. So, you are constantly letting other people lead you, even if you know that their leadership is poor, if they're making the wrong decisions, but yet you still follow. Right. And the physical aspect is your stomach. People who have stomach issues. And of a lot of our anxiety is held there too. Your spleen, your small intestines, your liver, pancreas, gallbladder, and spleen. So a lot of times, people don't know that, like, oh, my spleen is hurting or my gallbladder, um, but they have gas, right, is an indicator of the chakras not flowing in alignment, cramps, constipation, things like that. Our next one is our heart, right? Um, our centers. Our centers. It's located at the center of the chest where the heart is, our literal heart, and its color is green. And I remember when I first got into the studies, like I would take my chakra book to the park and I would read. And I was reading about the heart chakra and I just looked up and I'm like, in the middle of the woods surrounded by trees. And I was like, God is so amazing. Like our hearts, like we are really sent here to love. Because look at how we are constantly surrounded by green, right? And how just being in nature really fights depression and makes us automatically feel better just by being next to a tree, right? So it's no coincidence, right, that the frequency that stimulates our heart is green. So, of course, it is the ruler of love, and it's in charge with how we feel and experience love. The basic element is air, as air, it can never be damaged, it can never die out, right? There's always some type of air, even in Mars, right? There's always some element that can create some type of air, right? And when our heart chakra is imbalanced or blocks, we feel emotionally depleted or drained. Especially, like if you had a relationship where you felt like you were the one who were always putting in the work, right? That is draining. That is really draining on you. And that's why, right? Because this is energy that we're putting out. If it's imbalanced, we have a hard time expressing love to others, and we fear that it may lead us to get to hurt. And on the opposite spectrum, we could be a person who's just like giving, 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 and we never say no. So that is the opposite, where your heart chakra is just too big, right? We can't give from an empty cup, literally, right? As I sip my tea, you cannot, everything is about balance, right? And the physical body parts that it affects is your heart, your blood vessels, right? Particularly the circulation of blood, our lungs, our thymus, our breast, and our arms and shoulders. And think about when you have a heart attack, your heart does not hurt. Your symptoms are your arms, right? The numbness in your arms and your shoulders, and the tightness of your chest. So everything physical has a spiritual root. Also, I am a firm believer of why so many women are affected by breast cancer, because we are typically the nurturers, not only of our children, but of our partners, right, and other family members. And we give into until we wear ourselves down. And then, because it's the heart chakra, right, it's right next to our breasts, which our breasts are functionally, right, they were given to us to nurture our children. Those are what starts to lose its function. So once you start to study the spiritual world, it's interesting to look at, right, diseases. Right? There are many people who are like, I eat healthy, I exercise, I do all this stuff, and I still got cancer, because they're so focused on the physical body. They're not focused on the energetic body. Your next chakra is the throat chakra, and it is located in the center of the neck, right? Literally your throat. So above your collarbone, and its color is blue. And it's the ruler of communication, right? It's how we speak, how we interpret how others speak to us, right? And how we project into the world, and it's heavily dealing with the truth. Like, what is your truth, and how do you navigate it within the world? Its element is ether or sound, of course. And when, oops, that says heart. Um, it should say throat. When our throat chakra is imbalanced or blocked, we have difficulty expressing ourselves, right? We feel silenced and judged by ourselves or others, and we cannot say what we mean. And it's the same as like swallowing our words. When you know that you really should have said something, and sometimes literally you can feel it in your throat, like in an argument. It doesn't have to be like loud fighting, but in some type of dispute where you really felt like you should have said something. And that's where that term comes from. Like, it's hard. I've had moments where it's just like really hard to swallow and shut myself up. That is your body letting you know that you need to express that, you need to get it out. Now, that moment may not be the right time, but you definitely need to get it out. And if you don't, you're going to experience things like sore throats, strep throats, right? Colds, right? We realize a lot of our colds kind of start with our throat. You have to ask yourself, like, how am I expressing myself? And am I being true and honest to myself? So, physical body parts, of course, is your throat, your trachea, your neck, your mouth, your teeth and gums, the arms and shoulders as well, and your hands, right? Sign language. Yeah, I used to know. That is one of my things that I need to get back on while I have time during the quarantine, right? Is practicing sign language. But you see, like, I talk with my hands. A lot of us talk with our hands, right? And wonder, it's like amazing, the connection, throat, right? The throat chakra. So if you're having any issues with that, um, it can be your throat chakra. And hands, a lot of people, I know I get carpal tunnel, and that is related to not letting go. I know I have a huge issue of letting things go, and that's the same with communicating, right? So that's something to consider. Then you have your third eye chakra. My favorite, well, they're all my favorites, but it is located in the center of the forehead, slightly above the center of the eyebrows, right? Eyebrows, and indigo is its color, and it is our source of divine connection. So literally, we hear the term all the time. It's our sixth sense, right? Our unconsciousness, really, but also our consciousness, memory and recollection, and its element is light, right? Let there be light. Light, and the spiritual aspect is like divine knowledge, right? Excuse me. when our third eye chakra is imbalanced or blocked, we have difficulty trusting life or God. We have very little faith. We're confused about life and we don't believe in others. Like it's very hard to appreciate other people's journeys or what they want to do because we're just like, whatever. Like, we can't be happy for others. Um, so if you have chronic exhaustion or headaches, right, that doctors can't figure out what it is, you can't figure out what it is, there's just no reason for you to have this, or sensitivity to light, more than likely you either have an overactive third eye chakra or a underactive. There is an imbalance in there, right? And it is connected to our pituitary gland, our eyes, of course, if the sensitivity to light, our nose, our sinuses, our anything in our head and face, right? And lots of us, um, we, even though we may be religious, right? I feel my personal beliefs, right, that religion kind of removes the true spiritual part, or just the way that some of us practice, right? We go and listen to a person preach, and then we go home, and then we don't do anything until, Saturday or Sunday rolls around. We go listen to this person preach again, right? We really have to take it into our own hands. And when we do not do that, that's when our third eye chakra becomes unbalanced because we're really not practicing, right, and doing the things we need to do to have that divine connection, which leads us to our last chakra, which is at the very top of our heads, and that is our crown chakra, and its color is violet. And it's literally our connection to the universal consciousness, to God, to the creator, to our higher selves. And it's really all about harmony and oneness, right? How content we feel with being in our physical bodies and being alive and loving the world and knowing that we are meant to be here. Its basic element is also light, right? And the lotus, right? The lotus flower is typically you'll see a lot of chakra images where the lotus is in the crown because that is like a very divine plant that represents knowledge. When our crown chakra is imbalanced or blocked, we have difficulty trusting life or God. Same thing, we have little faith, right? So it's very, very similar to our third eye chakra, right? Because it's our divine connection to God and to the source. And this is our pineal glands, our skull, right? Our cerebrum, our head, and our nervous system. So a lot of people who have nervous system issues, it's definitely a breach in that connection somewhere. Now, there is definitely a lot going on in these images. So if we looked at these little two people on the side, we see that's the snake is literally called the kundalini, right? So our energy is supposed to flow from the bottom to the top, right? Continuously spiraling up from the earth through the water to the sun, through the air, right? Up to the divine light. We're supposed to have a balanced flow. And when it's not flowing, right, it goes in reverse. Sometimes it's completely dead, it's completely shocked. And if one is not spinning correctly, it pulls the energy from the other ones to try to survive. Just as if when we're pregnant, if we're not eating enough, as pregnant women, it pulls the nutrients from the mom, right? From the teeth, from the bones. It's like, no, I need to survive. So I'm going to steal what I need from you. So it's the same thing with our chakras. It pulls on other chakras so that it can survive. And then if not, we feel these physical pains. Now, how to balance the chakras? so many, so many, so many, so many different ways. So like I said, if you want more information on that, definitely leave me a comment so that I can know, because then that will be the second part, right? Imbalances and how do we fix those? But how, first things first, me, like I said, crystals, right? I'm the crystal seller, the crystal lover, all in crystals. You have yoga, you have meditation, and you have different rituals. So, like I said, the solar plexus, sacral is water. Take more baths, oceans, right? Listening to water sounds, color therapy. So, I am working on my sacral, so orange. So, there are tons and tons of things that you can do to continuously get them in balance. Color therapy, as you can see, each chakra has so there are things that makes it vibrate. Essential oils, right? So this image is from an essential oil place, right? Aromatherapy to balance your chakras. So the very earthly tones like sandalwood, that's going to be your root in your sacral, right? And then your rose is going to be your heart. So there are tons and tons and tons of things to do to get them balanced, right? Uh, Meditation is key. Meditation. So that's all, folks. To conclude, right, our chakra system is just an energetic network that anchors our spirits to our physical bodies, right? It's something that we must continuously work on to keep these wheels spinning, right? You don't just like get it in alignment and then it stays like that for 10 years. No. Every day, something in our life is changing, every week, so that's why we continuously need to work on keeping them in alignment. When your chakras are aligned and open, your mind and body and soul are at its healthiest levels. And if not, then that's when you're going to experience dis-ease within the body. And I love this picture. These are just chakra affirmations, right? So I am safe, I am creative, I'm strong, I'm loved, I'm expressive, I'm connected, and I am divine. So I definitely, when I'm doing crystal therapy, I lay the crystals out on me and then I say the affirmations, right? You may not have time or crystals, right? If you need crystals, let me know. I can get some to you. But you can just throughout the day when you wake up, if you know you're working on your root, you just, I am safe. Anytime, if you right now don't know where funds are coming from, just I am safe. That's it, right? Heartache, I'm loved. You don't even have to go into a whole spill. Just affirm to yourself that you are these things, right? So let me know what you think. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. I definitely will get you the answer. Peace and light.